All right, so now that you have your audience, we set up the tags and we set up the groups. Then what we did was we set up the sequence of your campaign. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you designed, chose your template, and input all your content for each of the emails for each of your campaigns. That is phase 1. Once you have all of that, then we can really double check each of these triggers and deep dive, and I really do want to double check. I can give you a high level lesson. Essentially, the very first trigger is based on when you give them that tag. I do recommend that you wait 1 hour just so that you have that buffer time to take them off the campaign if you accidentally put somebody on the wrong list or whatever it may be, rather than if you do it immediately, then you really don't have that buffer time. So again, I will deep dive with you once you have your content and you have the sequences in here. So the first step is just to add email, get the content in here. And then for the triggers, that's phase 2. And the very first email is going to be triggered by a tag. The second thing that we want to look at is when can people get these emails? So I recommend weekdays given your sector, and only between office hours. So again, depending on the audience, they may be more likely to check their email on the weekends or in the evenings, but for you and your audience, weekdays during the work hours. For the first email, I'm not too worried about this additional segment or tag. However, when we get to email 2, 3, 4, 5, then I do want to double check these, because this is where we want to ensure if somebody progresses from a cold to a warm to a hot, that we can take them off the campaign. And so how you do that is you can add additional tags, and for instance, so long that even if they started the campaign, they can be taken off that campaign. So again, we'll dive deeper a little bit. I just need to kind of map this out a bit more with you. Depending on how you have it set up. I don't want to do it all in here. This is my account showing you. And so it doesn't make sense for me to actually set up the campaign and go through all that time. So I'm just showing you kind of the capabilities of what each of these mean. And then for instance, you could add even a status. You can add additional tags if you want, whatever it may be for each phase, right? What's going to happen is once you have all of that, MailChimp is going to trigger you. It's going to tell you what you're missing, right? So obviously missing a subject line, it's missing email content, is actually saying if the content doesn't necessarily look right. So it's going to really help you through and walk, make sure that you are held accountable to each of these kind of important components, because it won't let us start the campaign unless you have a subject line, unless you have the email content, right? It's saying it does not look like it has any content yet. So you're going to want to fix that. This one here, for instance, says, we noticed some placeholder content specifically, blah, 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 blah. So MailChimp is smart enough that it's going to help you through this checklist, because it doesn't want you to send out incomplete campaign. So it's not even letting us. So if you are really stuck getting through this checklist, just setting up the campaign, that's where I can hop on, kind of double check. Depending on the account that you have, you may have additional support as well with them. But again, they make it fairly easy to see kind of where you're stuck. All right, and so once you have all those sequences, you have the content in there, you have your triggers, you have the subject line, you have all of the things that we need, then it will allow us to start sending, right? So for now, I'm going to save and exit because I'm in my account. So again, we want to set this up into your account. And I don't want to spend too much time actually setting up the campaign because it does take, a little bit of time, but I at least wanted to explain the difference in each of those categories, and we will deep dive together, make sure that it's set up correctly. But phase one, you absolutely can start now and get all that content and get the sequence in there.